Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Downer. Welcome to Roots to Renovation. I am here with Jody Peterson and Ryan Peterson, the founder, CEO, and COO of Peterson Roofing in the Quad Cities. How are we doing today, fellas?
Doing great, Mike.
Doing great. Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys. We're going to learn a little more about roofs and what we should do with these. So today, guys, what I wanted to talk about is what are the best roofing materials for Iowa weather? Because that is a big question. I know that, different climates, different houses, different zones of the United States all use different roofing materials. So we're going to talk about which ones are best for Iowa. So, guys, which roofing materials perform best in Iowa's climate with the harsh winters, summer storms, hails, and our massive temperature swings here?
Well, that's a good question. And here at Peterson Roofing, we've been doing this for 45 years in the Davenport Quad City area. And we've installed pretty much every type of roof you can in this area. And over the years, we've seen which ones hold up best. Choosing the right ones, what we're going to look at in this podcast. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, a little bit later.
You bet. So, why have architectural asphalt shingles become the most popular roofing choice in the Quad Cities and in Iowa, I guess? And what separates the best brands from the rest?
I'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah, architectural shingles, they've been around for quite a while, and I guess slowly but surely they just took over. The common shingle that we used to see, and maybe some of you young people don't even know about these. We called them 3 tabs, and they looked like 3 tabs, and you look up on your roof and you see these little rectangles. And I don't even know when 3 tabs came out, before my time, but they were probably trying to look like a slate tile, right, Dad? I guess is what they were trying to mimic. So
it probably came out back in 40s or 50s. I mean, it might have been before my time.
So long time, made of asphalt, did the job okay, but then better shingle came along, the architectural or laminate style shingle, they call it. Still made out of basically the same thing. And it is a lot better design. All right. So you think on a 3-tab shingle, you've got all those little slits in between those rectangles. And that is usually the weakest part, where there's just one little layer of asphalt between the weather and the inside of your house, and it would leak. Well, a laminate style has a full piece of the asphalt and then some pieces laminated on top. So in some areas you might have as much as 4 layers of asphalt thick. It's just a lot better design. And really, yeah, like you said, Mike, that's all you see anymore. It's by far the most popular choice in this part of the country, I would say, and especially here, Davenport, Quad Cities, Bettendorf area.
So what separates the best brands from all the rest of them that are out there?
I'll take that one. What separates them is for us is callbacks, and we've used a particular brand, Owens Corning, for many years because the callbacks are very far apart. I mean, I think we'd had 3 claims in 20 years of using these shingles.
Oh wow!
And other shingles now are getting much better because they have to keep up with the program, right? If they don't, they get lost behind because other contractors are using them, and they're going to know the amount of claim calls they get. So that's how we judge it. How many calls do we get for people saying, hey, my shingles are blowing off, or my shingles are falling apart, or their discoloration? We just don't see a lot of that with Owens Corning, and I would say other shingles are coming along as well. They have to keep up with the Owens Corning, or they're not going to get any use. So that's the difference. Blow offs, discoloration, a little bit of curling, maybe.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So, guys, are impact-resistant Class 4 shingles worth the investment for Iowa homeowners, and can they really help lower insurance premiums?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, here we're wading into new territory. Iowa is a state where there are a lot of storms, a lot of insurance claims now. It didn't used to be that way. We think of California, Florida as big insurance states, but we've had a lot of storms here lately. So maybe that weather pattern from out west is just kind of shifting to Iowa. Now, the asphalt shingles that we put on, these laminate shingles we're talking about, nowadays they're all Class 3, which is sort of your basic hail impact rating. They're going to do okay for small hail, but what you're talking about, Mike, Class 4, This is
Yes.
meant to protect you from larger hail, which we're seeing more often. They do cost more. Okay, so depending on the manufacturer you go with, we use Owens Corning a lot. Owens Corning has a couple of different Class 4 style shingles. The price is up there, and some of the other manufacturers make them too. And we put those on, and I think it comes down to the question you all want to know: is it worth it? All right.
Yep. That is the question.
We do recommend, like I said, that you put on a Class 3 shingle for sure. Do we recommend? Does Peterson Roofing recommend a Class 4 shingle? I would say it comes down to, do you want to deal with the question in the back of your head? If this hailstorm comes through, hits my roof, it's not as simple as it used to be, where it used, $500 deductible, $1,000 deductible. Now we're seeing percentage based. So maybe it's worth it to you to spend $1,500, couple $1,000 more on an average roof for that Class 4. You might have a $10,000 deductible on a roof. So the question is important here. Decide what type of shingle you want to put on, and we can put it on for you.
Yeah.
Have you heard of cases where it actually does lower the insurance premiums by having those on there?
It doesn't lower it very much from what I've heard. And I've asked a few people, a common number that I've heard is about $50 a month. So
Okay.
it doesn't sound a whole lot up front. But so the way I think of it is, like I just said, those deductibles are changing. You're starting to see those percentage based. And that there's actually insurance for deductibles now, believe it or not. Because who you plan on having $9,000-$10,000 sitting around for a deductible? Maybe it's worth it to you to just go ahead and spend the money. Maybe you finance that extra couple $1,000s for that better shingle, and it's peace of mind.
Makes sense.
Like
that
you
makes
said,
sense.
Though, on that, the deductible, depending, not everybody has gone to that percentage base, but most companies are going that way. So if you're still on a $500 deductible or $1,000, at $50 a month savings, which to me, that's pretty good. I've never even seen it that low. You're out there probably a little bit more dealing with that now than I am, Ryan. But overall, though, the savings right now does not pay for the difference for the Class 4, but I can see it shifting that way very quickly to where it will. The insurance companies will be making those lower premiums for Class 4 impact shingles.
You bet. No, that makes a lot of sense. So guys, what are the biggest pros and cons of metal roofing for Iowa homes, including durability, ice shedding, noise levels, and overall cost?
Right. We do metal roofs here and there, like we talked about. The architectural is the most popular, but we've done metal shingle roofs. There's a few different brands of those, and a lot of them you look up there and you might not know it's a metal roof. It actually looks kind of like an architectural shingle, which was, trying to look like probably look a wood shingle. So it's something mimicking something else. But they do make them to look like actual thick shakes or Spanish tile. Another kind, so maybe this is what people think of when they think of metal roofs, is like a standing seam style roof. And there's a couple of different kinds of those. So you have your hidden fastener, which is the best kind. And then you have what I think of more like agricultural with, screws, and they have a little grommet on there. And this is a lot cheaper. But guess what? After time, all those little screws, the little rubber seal there on the grommet, it wears out. And then you've got to go take care of that, whether it's sealing those back up or replacing the screw. So those are things to consider. The major thing with metal roofing is the cost. All right. They cost a lot more. But sometimes it's worth it. Again, talking about hail, metal roofs, generally, they're going to hold up to hail pretty well. They will dent. And then you get into this area with the insurance companies where a lot of the policies now are like cosmetic on it. All depends, but they will get little dents, but they probably won't let the water in with most hail.
And the insurance companies probably do not care about aesthetics.
And they're moving that way. That's right. Some do. That's what I was going to interject, is they are getting to the point where I'm not going to replace that whole roof because you got dents on it. It's not leaking. So they have exclusions in the policies, and homeowners may not know that unless they look over their policy very closely. But so that's definitely one of the cons. And then some of the other cons, you've heard things about they're louder in rainstorms. And depending how well your house is sealed and insulated, they can be louder. I had a customer one time said after we put a metal roof on for him, everything's great except my cell phone won't work in the house now, so he had to go outside. So there are some cons, and the other con for metal roofing, like the type you would see in other states like Colorado or whatever, the standing seam, as Ryan mentioned. If you're in a neighborhood where everybody else has architectural laminated shingles and you stick that type of roof on, great roof, but it's going to look out of place. So people want to kind of stay with what's the norm, especially when you go to sell. You may love it, but the next person may not. So you want to kind of stay with what's traditionally in your neighborhood. So that's a con for metal roofing. But we do those. You may be out on a private acreage somewhere where you're not next to other houses. So we'd say, yeah, if you like it, go ahead and do it, knowing the other things that we just talked about that are cons as well.
Oh, perfect. So guys, when does it make sense to invest in premium designer shingles for better curb appeal and long-term performance?
Oh, yeah. All right. So Owens Corning, Duration, I think we've talked about those quite a bit. They do have what they call a designer line. And what that means.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, no, they're really neat looking. It used to be, we always make this joke. You used to put a roof on to keep the water out. And now, it's a fashion statement. There are so many different color choices for shingles. I don't even know what it's got to be, about 20 different colors just from Owens Corning's Duration and Duration Designer. So there are some really neat looking. They're always coming out with new ones too. I think they came out with like 3 different colors this year. So if you can't find something that fits in with what you want your overall house to look like on the outside, that's pretty crazy. You ought to be able to find something. Designer shingles have really just a more of a mixture in their granule variegation, I guess. So a lot of people would say looking up at maybe not a lot. Some people say looking up at a designer roof, well, that looks really busy. And I guess maybe that's a good way to describe it. It is a definite visual focal point. So if you have a roof that's maybe a bit steeper, you're going to see, wow, that roof that's cool. That's different. But maybe where it doesn't work so well is if you already have a busy looking front of say you have a brick that also has a variegated color in the brick. Sometimes that roof can clash with the brick and you're like, wow, that looks totally insane. You remember when I was a kid and I'd dress myself and I'd wear a plaid shirt and striped pants or something? That's maybe
I
what
still
you
do that.
want to do. There you go.
Right. I need my wife to dress me every day or I come out looking like that. So anyway.
Yeah, she dresses me. My wife dresses me for these podcasts. Otherwise,
As long as it looks good from here up, you're fine.
That's it. So Jody, let me ask you this. You've been doing this for a while. So how important is underlayment in a roofing system, and why should homeowners care about what goes underneath the shingles?
Well, underlayment is very important in the sense that if you have shingles blow off, say there's a really, really bad storm where you're getting 100-mile-an-hour winds or greater, maybe a tornado passes close by or derecho. Some shingles can blow off, even though they're rated over 100-mile-an-hour wind rating. If some blows off, you have that underlayment or felt, we call it, or synthetic felt. We have that as protection underneath so that protects water, prevents water from coming into your house until someone can get out and do the repairs. So that's the most important reason for the underlayment. So it is critical. It's not as critical as the type of shingle you use that will resist blow off, but it is critical in the chance event that they do blow off because of some severe weather.
Right. No, that's a good thing to know. And good thing to think about. So how does proper attic ventilation, including ridge and soffit venting, affect the lifespan and performance of a roof?
Yeah, this is something maybe not a lot of people think about, and it's a big part of it. If this isn't set up right, you're going to have major problems. And one of those problems could be the shingles wear out ahead of time. It's way too hot in that attic. Shingles are baking from the underside. And before you know it, your lifetime guaranteed roof is wearing out at 10, 15 years. So the shingle manufacturers and Owens Corning, all of them, they're going to have written down there in their installation directions, you need to have so much intake and so much exhaust for your ventilation. And if you don't do that, then you really don't have a guaranteed roof. So a good roofing company like Peterson Roofing and Home Improvement is going to make sure that you have adequate venting, that it's working right, that the air is getting in, it's getting out. You don't mix two different types of vents. You see that a lot. In order to guarantee the longevity of your roof and prevent other problems such as condensation in the winter time, you got to make sure that your vents are working right. And we can make sure that that is all working the way that it should. 45 years of experience, we've seen a thing or two.
Tell us about what you were telling me earlier today about the unvented, was it a bathroom vent pipe? Or
yeah. So I looked at one yesterday, and it was people say, hey, I've got a spot on my kitchen ceiling right above the range where the vent goes through. And they're like, it doesn't go through the roof, though. We know there's no vent up on the actual roof. And I'm like, well, let's take a look. And look up on the roof. Yeah, there's no vent there, but I can. And nothing looked crazy on the shingle part of the roof. Get in the attic. Sure enough, there's a pipe just coming right through the insulation. And then right above it, you can see the wood had rotted out. And I crawl over there and I touch it with my finger, and the finger just goes right through the wood. And I'm like, I think what happened here, you've got 25 years of this vent just dumping warm, moist air from above your oven right up on the, in the wintertime, cold roof deck. And it just rotted it out to the point where now actual water was leaking through and making a water stain. So there you go. That's venting, but it's venting something from the inside of the house all the way through the attic and out the way it should be. But that's also part of
technically venting. That's what you're doing in the wintertime, especially. You're venting whatever warm, moist air escapes from the house. You're letting that get out of the attic space so that it doesn't condense when it hits the cold roof deck,
right?
And cause frost and moisture. So it's critical.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it makes a little more sense to look up at my roof now and see why there's all those pipes up there, all those ugly pipes. So they make a lot of sense. So, let me ask you this, guys: does shingle color make a difference in energy efficiency, and how can it impact attic temperatures during Iowa's hot summers?
Let me take that one, Ryan.
Sure.
I will tell you, yes, it can impact your temperatures in your attic. So if you want a dark colored roof, realize it is going to bring more heat into your attic. However, again, we're back to the ventilation and the insulation. If you insulate your house correctly and vent it correctly, that warmer air that is getting into your attic will be dispelled properly and should be okay. Don't let that scare you into picking a light colored roof because you're afraid you're going to draw too much heat into your house. Well, it should not get into your house living space. It might get into your attic space, but not your living space, as long as you're insulated and vented correctly. And in previous times, 40 years ago, it was a bigger deal. People weren't as aware of venting and insulating like they are now. And shingles are made better now to not dry out due to the darker colored shingles. They're going to attract more sun naturally. And the tendency would be for them to dry out. In the old days, I'm just going to say old days. That means 40, 50 years ago, right? They were made differently. They're strictly asphalt or an organic mat that held everything together. And that would dry out much quicker than now we're using fiberglass or other types of mats inside of the asphalt shingle. And they don't dry out as quickly due to heat absorption. So if you like a dark colored roof, that's fine. Just make sure you're vented and insulated properly.
Awesome answer. All right, guys, let's kind of wind this up. So I'm going to ask a big question. You guys can both take little pieces of this, but based on 45 years of experience in the Quad Cities, what roofing materials does Peterson Roofing recommend most often, and why have those options proven to last?
Owens Corning Duration still the number one here. You know, there's other shingles that cost a little bit less, some that cost a little bit more, but I've got these on my house. We've been putting them on since they came out. I think, was it 2007, 2008? Like Jody said, what, 2 or 3 problems over that whole span of time? Owens Corning shingles really are it. And other shingles promise more. And you look at the track record of these companies, and it's not so good. So I think, you know, it is. You get what you pay for. And and these shingles, I mean, it's not that much more, but we're not going to recommend something to you that we don't trust 100%. We love these shingles, and we want people to, you know, really not ever need to call us about an issue with the roof. Maybe you moved, you need a new roof on that house, and maybe you need a deck or siding. Call us about that. But our goal is, you put that roof on, peace of mind. Maybe you do a little maintenance here and there over the years. No roof is 100% maintenance free. But listen, we're gonna recommend the roof that you need. And like you said, Mike, over 45 years of experience, we know what works, what doesn't work, and we're gonna give you a great product.
Yeah, and I think it's important to say we don't get paid to say that. Owens Corning doesn't pay us to do podcasts and say, hey, push our material. We do it because, like Ryan said, it gives homeowner peace of mind. Gives us peace of mind knowing we're not going to have to go back and service a shingle that's not up to snuff.
Well, and like we say in every one of our podcasts, you run into these people in the grocery store, in the restaurants, and the gas stations, and you want to be able to say hi to them and not run in the store and hide your head.
Right.
So, you know, I appreciate what you guys do and the integrity that you have behind your work. So,
thank you.
We learned a lot today about roofing materials, what to do, what not to do, why it's important. So again, guys, you've taught me stuff, which actually for me isn't real hard because I'm not that smart. So, oh, just a big head of white hair, just sitting here talking to people. So, guys, it's always been fun. I think next time we'll talk about some roof inspections and kind of see how that goes.
All right, wonderful.
Sounds good.
Great.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks for joining me today, guys.